Ralph, thanks for joining me again here at Priority Learning. Today I wanted to talk to you about an article, actually it's a series of articles that you wrote about how to measure the success of leadership. So how do you measure the success of leaders?
Well, it's an interesting origin, I think, when you start to think about this, because I think it's a little bit self-serving when you sit back and start to think about, I will be the person who measures the success of leadership. A lot of this work comes from requests. In other words, if you hear our clients or individuals who will come by and say, how do you put together this whole success thing? Because it's complicated. It's not a simple equation. It's not like you do these two things and you'll go forward and be wonderfully successful. So what we did is we put together a wheel or a pie that has 8 parts to it. And we did a lot of, not just research, but a lot of our own soul searching and a lot of our own work inside of our organization, trying to define what those pieces were. And if you go to the website, there's obviously, that pie is displayed. I mean, there's no secret. People can look at it, and there's obviously a lot of detail. But we found 8 elements that we thought were pretty key to being a really good leader. Some are very tactical, some are a bit more intuitive, but both of them, each one of the pie slices, or each spoke of the wheel, has a skills and behavior attached to it. And we found that skills and behaviors are critical.
So, of these 8, which would you say are the real heavy hitters?
Well, based on readership and based on what people wanted, obviously they thought number 8 was a big deal. And the 8th one is about humility, and it's about approachability. It's about your ability to be approached and being user-friendly, and the humility that it takes to be a good leader. I think it's really easy sometimes to get swept into the power piece where we're in charge of people's lives, and there are many people, and people say glowing things about us, and it's pretty easy to get swept in and start to believe, as they say, your own press. But being humble is a gift, and for many people, it's the hardest thing that they have to do because they've achieved a lot, they're highly educated, they've been very successful in their lifetime, and humility is just a gift. And I don't know about you, but I remember all of those wonderful, humble people in my past who've really made a difference in my life. So when you sit back and you think about humility and approachability, I can see why it resonated with the audience. It obviously resonates with us. We left it for last for a reason. We think it's important. We know that when you can approach somebody and there's a real absence of fear, people will be approached routinely. The more you're approached as a leader, the more opportunities you'll have to lead. The humility part of it, to me, is just to never let yourself believe your own press clippings. It's easy to do. People want to pump you up and blow you up, and you really have to keep both feet on the ground if you're going to be a good leader as you go through.
So, in looking at it in a interactive perspective, say in an office workplace, someone who, let's say that you have a leader who could take a lesson in humility and approachability, what would you give them as a suggestion to start in the right direction?
Well, we're kind of hooked on the idea of self-analysis. And when I say self-analysis, I think if you sit here and you try to tell somebody that they need a dose of humility, I think that feels kind of harsh and they'll take it as a smack in the face. I think if you sit down and you'd say, give yourself a score on the skills and behaviors that really make up that element, and you give yourself a good honest score, then I think there's a first start. But then, if you give, for instance, your boss or one of your colleagues a chance to score you on the same things, and they're really being honest with you, it's the best kind of feedback you can get. So that's why we provide, there's a matrix inside of each one of these elements, and this last one, this approachability and humility piece, actually has some skills that we see in good, approachable, humble leaders, and there are behaviors that we see. And if you give yourself a good solid score and say, boy, on a scale of 1 to 5, I think I'm a 3, it's a real, and people would much rather learn their lessons themselves than have somebody dictate them to them.
Well, Ralph, thank you so much for sitting down and expanding a little bit on that for us. You can find this article and more at PriorityLearningResearch.com. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.